Perfect, everyone. We're just going to let everyone in as we come into our session. So excited to have you guys for our first January lunch and learn. We are going to be doing more FAFSA items on best practices for some of our special populations here. We're very excited to have two special speakers with us. But as we get everyone logged in, I thought you guys could drop in the chat something that's keeping you going for this January. Maybe it's a best, like maybe you saw a really good movie. Maybe there's a song that's keeping you going over the next couple of weeks. I know it's been kind of stressful for some with the FAFSA opening up. So yeah, drop it in the chat. Let's share what's keeping us motivated for the next couple of weeks or what's kept us motivated for this last 2 weeks as we have been in the soft launch of the Better FAFSA. And I'm going to read some of them off here. Oh yes, Ted Lasso has been a great one. Oh, congrats. Someone sold their house. I think the thing that's kept me motivated is I've been addicted. After Ted Lasso ended, I started watching Slow Horses on Apple TV. So definitely recommend that one. Oh, I love that people got to visit family. I know we've had a nice little extended weekend, kind of throws off the week. Today still feels like a Tuesday to me, even though it's Wednesday. So yeah, drop that in. Let's get encouragements from one another. And then we will move into some of our announcements. Just want to make sure some of our special speakers are in here before I get going. So we'll just give one more minute because I feel like I got a really good person for our announcements. It's going to be Julie Signs from ABOR. She's going to give us some quick announcements about the FAFSA. I know everyone might have some questions. So I'm going to let her come off mute and let me just admit some people before we get started. And I'm going to let her take over the announcements to kind of go over some of the things she has going on.
Oh, thanks, Graciela. I had added some slides to the slide deck. But thank you everyone for joining. Just wanted to give some quick FAFSA announcements here. Can everyone see the slide deck? Is it up yet? It's not showing on my end. There we go. Cool. Thanks, Graciela. So just wanted to give everyone a quick update in regards to FAFSA. So if you don't know, during winter break, they did do a soft launch on December 30th. And during that time, the application was kind of hit or miss. They were taking the application down to perform some maintenance on it, to do some updates. So we had some students that were able to successfully go in and complete the application. Since then, the federal student aid has announced that the FAFSA form is now available 24/7, and it will only be down during scheduled maintenance times. So if you do have any type of FAFSA workshops that you're planning on hosting this month or next month, just know that it should be available 24/7. You just want to keep an eye out for federal student aid if you follow their social media or on their website, because they have been posting their maintenance schedules on there. Typically they're at night or on the weekends, so hopefully that doesn't interrupt any FAFSA workshops that you have scheduled during the school day. With that, there have been some open issues identified. So I'll definitely share this link in the chat, but these open issues, there's about 10 of them that federal student aid is tracking. They do have workarounds. So when you click on the link, it does give you a workaround so that the student can successfully complete the application. They just have to do a couple additional steps to get past this, some of these issues. But once the federal student aid does have them resolved, they do post them on this website here so you can stay up to date. So if you are helping out a student with the application and one of these issues are ones on here, please make sure that you're reading them, look at those workarounds so that you can help the student complete the application. One of the biggest ones, identified issues, is that students are now, parents I should say, are now able to create an FSA ID even if they don't have a social security number. There's been some issues with this process. They don't have an estimated time as to when it will be resolved. But if you have any parents that are going in to create their FSA ID, just know that they may run into some challenges. It's not going as planned. So they may have to call federal student aid to verify their information. There may be some hold times that are very longer because of the high volumes. So just keep in mind, just be patient with that. We're hoping to get some more information from federal student aid once all these are resolved and once they have a better ETA as to when the FSA ID creation for parents without a social is all set and good to go. The other thing is that if you have a student who completed the FAFSA and say they need to make corrections to their application, or they need to go in and just verify what they put, they won't be able to make those corrections until either later this month or early February. So federal student aid will not allow students to actually go in and make corrections until, again, later this month or early February. So again, just be patient there and make sure that students are, just know that they can go in and make those edits at a later time. The other thing is that if you are within Arizona College Connect, so that's our database that tracks federal student aid and to see which of your seniors have completed a FAFSA and which ones haven't, just know that data will be available in early February. So if you have any questions, I'll put my email in the chat and we can make sure that you're set up there. And then just kind of going to the next slide, I did want to do a quick announcement that we are giving on the next slide here. Somebody can, oh, I don't know what happened to the presentation.
Apologies. I am struggling with technology. Just a second while I learn how to reshare items, but I will share that in just a second.
No worries. But the other thing is just, while Graciela is pulling up the presentation, it is that we are offering again students an opportunity who complete the FAFSA to go ahead and submit for spring training tickets. So last year we had great success with this. So spring training, there's 10 facilities within the Metro Phoenix area that students can choose from. It's the first 1,000 seniors who complete their FAFSA and submit a ticket submission form. We just verify that the student did complete the FAFSA. They have to be a current high school senior attending an Arizona high school, complete the FAFSA, and do the submission form. On the submission form, the student will input their name, email, what game they'd like to attend, and then we've partnered with the Arizona Cactus League to make this happen so that students will get 4 tickets to a game of their choice that they can attend during spring break or on a weekend. So just keep in mind, this is a great incentive that's available to all high school seniors and something fun that they can partake in to attend a free spring training game with, for 4 tickets. So I'll put all this information in the chat and my contact information, but thanks Graciela for allowing me to share this out with everyone.
No, thank you for coming on board. I know that you have some really great things happening over there, and keeping us up to date with FAFSA at this time is really helpful. So thank you for taking time to join us. And you know what? We are making perfect time. I'm so excited to have our speakers today. We have Pedro from Aliento and Joey Taylor from ADE. And so they are going to be our special speakers for today. We're just going to let a couple people in really quick so they don't miss what's happening. And then I am actually going to stop sharing because I'm struggling with that today. And I'm going to kick it over to Joey to start introducing himself.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me okay? Great. So my name is Joey Taylor. I'm with the Arizona Department of Education. I'm the foster care education coordinator. I'm at a fun conference right now where the hotel Wi-Fi just went down. So I'm on my phone, so please forgive any weirdnesses about the phone or anything. So hopefully you're still hearing me and everything. And then I think Rachel is going to run the slides for me when it's my time.
Yep. I just saw that. I will run your slides. It's very dangerous, everyone. I've never felt so old when I make the transition from Teams to Zoom. Like my brain can't handle that. So just a second while I get back into it.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
I had it all planned out and it was perfect in my mind. Okay, cool.
Here you
go. So I wanted to cover, better FAFSA for foster care. And so thank you so much for this opportunity. A little bit about me. I am the foster care education coordinator for the Arizona Department of Education. What that really means is that I oversee all of our public schools in Arizona, be it school district or charter, and making sure they're implementing the educational rights of our students in foster care. And so part of that, of course, is helping, that's kind of a more K-12 responsibility, but obviously for our youth in foster care, we want to see them pursue their post-secondary goals and dreams. And so we're talking about students in foster care. It's really important to understand who that population is. So I'm going to go to the next slide. We'll have the definition here for what it means to be in foster care. And so this is the actual federal definition for what it means to be in foster care. There's two components. Basically, they need to be placed away from their parents or guardians and also in the custody of the Child Welfare Agency. And so in Arizona, there is a state child welfare agency, Department of Child Safety. That is where a lot of our kids have their foster care involvement in, and also tribal and a local child welfare agency as well. And it's important to understand and know that children in foster care are not the same population as homeless or mental eligible. So I know sometimes those populations get a little lumped together, but foster care is its own distinct population, and there's specific school stability provisions within federal law that help them get from from kindergarten to 12th grade, and then obviously as they're pursuing their post-secondary, it would be these children that would be in foster care. So next slide, please. Thank you. And then so I want to do a very, very super lightning fast, quick summary. I don't have a ton of time. Usually I do these trainings in like hours and hours, but today I want to just really make sure you capture this, and I don't want to miss the moment of sharing a little bit of what some of those school stability assurances are. So if you want to go to the next slide. Cool. So within the 2008 Fostering Connections Act is a child welfare law, and there's specific assurances in that law that the Child Welfare Agency considers when they're placing children in foster care that they're near the school that they're attending. And so the idea would be that school stability would be prioritized. And so they need to have kids should be staying in their school, and also, if it's not in the best interest of that school, they would go to a new school. Next slide, please. Another federal law that really is important, and this is the law that I oversee for Arizona. This is the Every Student Succeeds Act, and within Title I, Part A, there is some specific school stability assurance language in there. And so basically, if children are in foster care, they can stay in their school of origin. The school of origin is that school they were attending before any kind of foster care mobility happened. And so as a kid is in foster care and they're maybe moving in foster homes or foster group homes or whatever, they actually have the right to stay in that one school. So the school they were at before any of that movement happened, that's called their school of origin. And so there's a best interest determination to assess if they should stay in their school of origin. And if it is in the best interest to stay in school of origin, then the school district and charter and also the child welfare agency would work together to make sure the kids can actually get to school, right? Additionally, if it's not in the best interest to stay in school of origin, those students would need to be immediately enrolled in the new school. And so this is true for any student in foster care attending any public school in Arizona. And so obviously that school stability piece is going to help them, actually graduate, complete high school, and then they can obviously finish and continue those post-secondary goals they have. Next slide, please. This is a fun little pictorial, little infographic, if you will, of what foster care school stability looks like. Again, this is K-12, so it just kind of shows you those arrows. Student enters foster care or has a foster care placement change. They stay at that school of origin while the child welfare agency and the local educational agency work together to assess if it's in the best interest to stay in the school of origin. And so you see that big, kind of ribbon there. And so if the outcome of the bid is that the kids should stay in the school of origin, then the LEA and Child Welfare Agency will collaborate for transportation. If the outcome of the bid is that they will not stay in school of origin, then the kid needs to be really enrolled. So just a pictorial way to say it. So next slide, please. Cool. So now let's get into the fun stuff of FAFSA and independent status. And so if you are, if you want to go to the next slide, please. It's a little title slide. Let's bring it up, please. So if you are in foster care after your 13th birthday, you would actually be considered an independent when filling out the FAFSA, which is very kind of key to know for our youth that are in foster care or were in foster care, because obviously sometimes it might be difficult to track down some of that parental information. And so since if once they're in foster care after their 13th birthday, they would not need to do all that. They would get independent status. And this is a little screenshot of the PDF of the current FAFSA. And so under, kind of question 5 under student parent circumstances, it gives a list of options. And so this is a PDF version. I know when you're filling it out on the actual website itself, I think it looks a little different, but these are all the choices. And so there's a couple that pertain to foster care. Just ask straightforward, were you ever an orphan, meaning that your parents are no longer living? Are you a ward of the court? or were you in foster care again after the age of 13? And so if you can check any of those boxes and the state that you were in foster care, that would kind of give you that independent status, and you would obviously, granted that you don't have, like, tens of thousands of dollars in the bank or something, you would probably be able to get that full Pell Award and be able to, continue on in your education. For more information on some of this foster care FAFSA stuff, Schoolhouse Connection is an amazing nonprofit that just put together a really great training on this exact topic and some of the nuances of this stuff. And so I wanted to refer you to that, and I presume you'll get these slides in a follow-up email. And so you can just click on these links. These links are live in the slideshow. So just feel free to follow that. Next slide, please. Cool. So now I want to get into, so we got at age 13, a kid in foster care or was in foster care. If they're in foster care after 13th birthday, they would be able to have that independent status. And then now there's some more additional supports for our youth that are in foster care. Next slide, please. So if you're in foster care in Arizona after your 14th birthday, you'd be eligible for the Arizona tuition waiver. And so through that waiver, state colleges and universities can waive tuition after the Pell Grant's been applied and after the institutional aid's been applied. And so for a lot of the foster care kind of post-secondary supports, filling out the FAFSA is basically included in a lot of those supports. And so you have to fill out your FAFSA right away, as soon as possible, as early as possible, of course, to make sure that these other secondary, post-secondary supports will be able to apply. So you did fill the FAFSA, but if you do that, then whatever is on the tuition only, so this isn't including, room and board or like a meal plan or things like that, but what's on the docket for tuition after Pell is applied would be waived off, right? And so this really comes in key for our state universities. And so because again, with a lot of our community colleges, the Pell often covers those costs just straight up. But if they're going to ASU or U of A or NAU, then the rest of that tuition only would be waived. If you're in foster care after your 16th birthday, then you'd be eligible for the Education and Training Voucher. It's often called ETV. And so you'd have to be attending, of course, a qualified college, university, or vocational education program. So that could be within the state of Arizona, but also could be outside the state of Arizona as well. And so you would, and this is about $5,000 that is given, kind of twice, or kind of like split down the middle and given in the fall semester and the spring semester. You get coaching and training with that as well. You have a kind of a financial kind of planner with foster ed services that will help you with that. And so again, you can see there, if you want more information on that ETV and even the Arizona tuition waiver, you can do a deeper dive at this link here. And so definitely recommend that. So 13, independent status, 14, Arizona tuition waiver where the tuition is waived, and then 16, education training voucher. So besides those, there's also a lot of, you can keep going, Graciela, thank you. You're reading me right, you're doing great. So there's also a lot of great services from the colleges and universities as well. So if we want to go to that slide, we can do that. So for Maricopa Community Colleges, they have Bridging Success, and they're kind of connected to ASU's Bridging Success. And what it is it's a program for youth that were in foster care, and then now they're trying to pursue their post-secondary goals. And so they're a great support. They understand kind of what it's like to be in foster care, and they do, they'll do some programming throughout the year. And again, and they also work well with ASU, but also U of A and the U as well to help bridge that next gap. Additionally, at the Maricopa Community Colleges, they have foster care champions I think almost every single location. I mean, I don't know if it is every single location, but on the list they have on the website, there's a lot of locations. And so like Rio Salado, Australian Mountains, South Mountain Community College, there's specific foster care champions. And so that's key because if you're, we're in foster care and maybe this is kind of a big step for you to go, to college and do these things, it's good to have someone you can go to that will be empathetic, that will help you understand processes, make sure you know the forms you're supposed to fill out and things like that. So again, they're just champions for you at the community college to help you. At ASU, there is 2 great programs that have some foster care relations. So First Star Academy is the first one. Again, all these links are in here. You'll get all that to follow up with more information. But First Star Academy is an amazing program, and they do support for youth while they're in high school. So it's 9 through 12, and they have a year-long program. They have an amazing summer camp for 3 weeks where kids in foster care get to come live on ASU's campus and get a little bit of taste of what college life could look like, and a lot of job training, vocational things like that during that 3-week time. And so First Star Academy, again, they obviously they'll help you continue on to ASU as you graduate high school, but they work very well with all the other universities as well. They just want to help kids, and they want to see them continue on past high school. And then again, Bridging Success. ASU has that Bridging Success. Again, they're connected to the Maricopa Community Colleges, and Bridging Success, one of their coolest things that I think anyway, is they have this early start program. So if you are an incoming freshman and you're going to live on the dorms at ASU, if you're with Bridging Success, you can come in a week early. And so that's a big, big, big help. You can move into your dorm a week before anyone else does, and they even have like a week-long kind of ramping up into the school year program. So it's really, really great for those kids, and just not have to deal with the craziness of move-in day. Because I went to ASU myself, and move-in day was next level bananas. U of A also has amazing supports and programs for youth that were in foster care, and even this Fostering Connections actually helps support youth that had homeless experience as well. And so they provide a lot of programmatic support and help with like financial aid, and just making sure that youth know exactly what is available to them at the school. NAU has they don't really have like a program exactly like that, but they have these Blavin Scholars. It's a specific scholarship for youth that were in foster care. And so again, you can go to the link there and you can apply for that. And again, another one, so not a state university, but still Grand Canyon University does have this program called Fostering Futures. And so this is going to be for youth that are kind of currently still in foster care. So when you reach the age of 18 in foster care, you can kind of sign a voluntary saying that you will remain in foster care and keep on, staying in foster care even though you're over 18. And so for those students, you get to live on campus at GCU, you get a meal program for the whole year, and you get, obviously, your tuition is covered as well. So really great supports there from each of our colleges and universities here locally. Cool. Fun resources. And so if you want to go to the next slide, there's this amazing nonprofit called the Arizona Friends of Foster Care Foundation, and they put out this really cool post-secondary document. And if once you get the slides, this image is a link, so you can click on it and it'll take you to this actual document. And it is so good. And from my perspective, if someone's already put all the hard work and made an amazing thing, don't recreate it. So I didn't want to. They have the one-stop shop for everything about post-secondary guide for foster care. And on the next slide, one of my favorite parts of this book is this cool little picture here. And so it kind of gives you a little grid to kind of what resources are available to you based on your age. And it breaks down all the things that I talked about: independent status at 13, Arizona tuition waiver. And so this is just a really easy, quick, I just love this so much. It's a great snapshot of the services that are available for our youth. And then the next slide. And another great support for our students that are in foster care is this program called Earn to Learn. And so they do kind of a matched savings program. And so students save $500. And then once they do that, the program will actually, kind of provide a match, and it even goes up to $4,500 over 2 semesters. And so they're doing this really special initiative for youth that were in foster care. Well, they will provide that initial $500 for youth that are in care. And so that is so, so huge. And so imagine you're a youth that was in foster care, you had all this crazy drama and trauma and everything went down, but now you're using the education tuition voucher, you're using the Pell Independent status, and you even can actually start saving money towards your goals and even just to help you cover, the cost of living in life, right? And so they're an amazing, amazing program. Earn to Learn is still open. And again, this link, this little picture here, is a link to their website, and their I think their applications opened like literally on Monday, so they're like really ready to go, and they're trying to see students in foster care be able to get themselves set up financially. And so next slide, I think, is my ending slide. That's me. And so I tried to meet my 20 minutes. I have no idea. It could have been an hour, could have been 3 hours. But here is my email address. And I mean, there is a phone number technically, but don't call me because it's not 1985. Definitely email me and let me know what you need. And Graciela, I'll kind of turn it back to you and let our next presenter go if it's all good.
Yeah, actually, we have a couple of, I believe, and we do have some time for questions. So you did wonderful, Joey. Thank you for handling the Wi-Fi issue. Totally get that. I've been there. But yeah, if you have some questions and you drop that in there, I'm going to start from, I believe, Lizette will let me know if I missed anything. But the first one was from Erica that they will be updating the guide at the end of the next month. It was the Arizona Foster Care Guide that we just shared a couple slides ago. So we will be getting that up, and Erica actually dropped it in the email, her email address in the chat. So if you guys have questions about this, they have their resource in there as well. So I think that's really great. And I believe you just answered the Earn to Learn question, but Caitlin Savage had a quick question. And it said, is Earn to Learn still open? I heard it's first come, first serve, and we're already filled up. Do you know anything about that?
I don't.
Joe? Okay.
I do believe they are first come, first serve. But I know they have like kind of set aside a certain number for youth in foster care. So I hope that isn't filled up. But I mean, I think it opened on Monday, so maybe in 3 days it could have. But again, I would go to that link and reach out there to find out, you know, if it is filled up or not. So sorry, I don't know that answer.
No, you're good to know. You're good to go. Okay, if we have any other questions, feel free to just put yourself off mute, and then we can have Joey answer. And I know we had Julie on. Julie, are you still there? Okay, Julie left. There are some FAFSA questions here, so I'll also include Julie and Joey and our other special speaker who will be starting in just a couple of minutes, Pedro's email.
And can I say one more thing then?
Yeah.
Okay, so something that, as you all know, there's lots of changes to FAFSA, and there were specific changes that support, you know, unaccompanied homeless youth and even foster care. And one big change is that once you are kind of like given that independent status for the foster care, you wouldn't need to like reauthorize that every year now. That's something that's new. So once you kind of get that status, you can kind of roll that over from year to year. And then I'm trying to think of other cool things that were related to foster care. I think that's really it, yeah. And so there was a bunch more for unaccompanied homeless youth. And so like I said, when you get the slide deck, definitely you know, look at some of that extra information from Schoolhouse Connection, because they have a really good rundown of what's new pertaining to those two populations.
Perfect. That's amazing. And then one thing, I mean, I heard Joey speak at the December 1st big college FAFSA kickoff that they had at ASU West. And I went right afterwards. I'm like, I really want you to speak to our Lunch and Learn community because there was so much really great information. So if you guys have questions, he did provide his email. Like I said, I will put that in the email that I send out after we get the recording uploaded and the slide deck downloaded, and we'll send that off to everyone. So I'm just going to make sure that Pedro is here, and then I will have Pedro get ready to set up, and I'll just give him a little time to get there. Pedro?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, perfect. I'm going to stop sharing so you can run your slide deck unless you need me to do that.
Cool. I think I can share it. 1 second. One sec. Actually, I don't think it's letting me.
Okay. Yay. Okay. I feel like this is a really good learning session for me about this slide deck sharing. I really adapted to
Everything is
Teams,
on there
everyone.
anyway, so it's all good. I think you did a great job last
Okay.
presentation.
Okay, so let's move over to Pedro, our special speaker. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yes, actually, you can go on to the next slide. I'll just introduce myself there. But I'm Pedro González Aboite. I am currently the family and community liaison at Aliento, but I will be soon transitioning into a different role. Still within Aliento, but more focused on college access, specifically Proposition 308, and doing some more work on that end. But before we get and just overarching theme of the presentation is we're going to be talking about the CSS profile. Some of you may know what it is and what it's used for. But one of the big reasons why we wanted to have it be a part of this presentation today was because Proposition 308, which passed uh, over a year ago now. So we have been working all of last year in trying to implement the proposition, which is in-state tuition for everyone, regardless of immigration status. And we have been working through that last year. There's been some hills and some valleys in that, and there's been a lot of learnings. And that's something that we want to take away and put into work this year. But the proposition itself is, like I mentioned earlier, it's in-state tuition for anyone regardless of immigration status. There are two requirements for you to be eligible for in-state tuition. The first requirement is that you attend a public, private, or homeschool equivalent while being physically present in Arizona for at least 2 years. And the second one is that you graduate from that public, private, or homeschool equivalent or obtain the GED. So it gets a little tricky in terms of like specific situations or circumstances where students might be in, where they might have like 1 year of high school, but then they graduate with the GED. So for any and all of those kinds of questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'll have my information later on in the presentation, but just based on learnings from last year and the situations that we've helped students in last year, we know that there are a lot of different circumstances where it might be a little tricky to see if they're eligible for in-state tuition, but definitely feel free to reach out to us. We can answer any questions that you may have. We can go on to the next slide. So the CSS profile. So like I mentioned before, because of this influx of new students who might be going either graduated a long time ago and want to study again, or recent graduates who were not able to go on to higher education because they had to pay out-of-state tuition costs. We realized that a lot of students were going to need that institutional aid, institutional help. So we decided to talk to Julie from ABOR, and we also talked to ASU, NAU, and U of A. And those three universities, the three state universities, will be using the CSS profile to sort of aid in helping these students find some sort of institutional aid because they're now paying in-state tuition rates, but we want to help them a little bit more. So the CSS profile, it's a need-based financial aid for Arizona's public universities. So like I mentioned earlier, ASU, NAU, U of A. And specifically the students that we were going to help, they're students who are ineligible for FAFSA. So they can't apply for FAFSA, so they have no way of receiving other kinds of federal aid, but they are allowed to receive institutional aid, which also comes part of Proposition 308. So they're not only eligible for in-state tuition, but they're also eligible for those institutional fundings. And one of the last bullet point there, the application fee is free for students whose family income is less than $100,000. We wanted to include that because we know that specifically many of the students who we're trying to focus on with the involvement in Proposition 308 are low-income students who might not, who if first, let's say the cost for submitting the application was like $30 or something, it's very real. It's a very real situation where these students might find themselves in where they might not be able to pay those $30 because it might be their gas money to go back and forth from school or lunch money. So we really wanted to mention that that it would be free for anyone whose family income is less than $100,000 because those are very real situations that our students find themselves in, and we don't want that to deter them from applying and perhaps being able to receive more institutional funding. So that's just a little bit overview of the application, how to complete the application. So thanks to Missy, who works with ASU, She helped me create a sort of like a user testing ability to go into the CSS profile and firsthand apply and fill out the application. I'm a DACA recipient myself, so I didn't really have to change too much of the information. So it was a good trial run. Again, just so that I know the ins and outs of it, in order to be able to share with you all what things are important specifically when working with these student populations. But it's a very straightforward application, very simple. The first thing you do would be collect the documents. So any student or parent recent tax returns, any student or parent W-2 forms, and any other records of yearly income. And then any records of any untaxed income, bank statements, if they have like healthcare that's not covered by insurance, things like that. And one thing to note here is that if the students do not have one or more of these documents, that's completely okay. Within the application itself, there is no there's no way to sort of check if everything that's being input is correct. But also we want to make sure that we're using it either reasonable estimates or using zero when applicable. That's completely acceptable because all of the answers are sort of like the fill in the blank questions. So it's just a matter of typing in numbers and filling it out that way. But we do want to make sure that people are using reasonable estimates if they don't, for some whatever reason, do not have any of the other text information that they are being asked for in any of the questions. But yeah, it's pretty simple. You go onto the College Board account, CSS profile, you choose the desired school year, and then you complete all the sections. It asks for you to input like your school CSS code, and then you review and submit. Thank you. And then these are just some tips for applying specifically for students who may be undocumented or DACA. So undocumented students, when they are trying to fill out the CSS profile, they will choose other when asked about citizenship status, which is pictured there in that first picture on the left. And if they do not have a visa, or they may have like a B2, which is a visitor visa, they will get a question later on, which is on the right, asking them for a visa type. They can leave that blank. There was no issue. I had no issue with leaving it blank. And it's because these students are undocumented, they might not have a visa, and they might just not know what to answer. So keeping it blank is completely acceptable. And there was one more thing I wanted to mention. Oh, yes. So I just want to stop here a little bit because we are actually working, or I am working with our digital and marketing team to make sure that we have more accessible just materials in terms of how to apply, physically, like little videos on how to apply on the CSS profile as an undocumented student. And then also just more informational videos on Proposition 308. So that's in the works. It's going to come soon, hopefully within the next couple of months. But we definitely want to get that out there sooner rather than later, just to be able to help as many students as we can. And then the last bullet point there, short answer questions at the end of the application should be answered. They may be used for future aid. So the way the application works is you fill out all of these sections, and then towards the end, there are a few short answer questions that refer to, I think one of them was referring back to COVID and if COVID affected you. And then there were some other questions that asked for any reasonings in terms of why you would need institutional aid. And although those aren't necessarily required, we do recommend that they be filled out by the students to the best of their ability, because after speaking to reps from ASU, NAU, and U of A, they did mention that they don't usually get used, that information doesn't get used at all. But let's say for whatever reason, one of these institutions receives more funding that can be put towards helping these kinds of students. This would be a good indicator of who would need, that would be a good indicator for them of who can receive that aid and who needs it. So please definitely encourage your students to fill those short answer questions to the best of their ability towards the end of the application. And then you're good to go to the next slide. And these are just some of the resources that we have. They're also on our website, and we include them in all our presentations for resources for students, specifically with scholarships, because we know that A lot of times it's difficult for undocumented students specifically to find scholarships that they are eligible for. So just working on that scholarship hustle is definitely something that 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 can help. It's difficult because many of the students are either first generation or they don't have any family members who have gone through the process of applying and attending a higher ed institution. So they don't really know where to start, and we want to sort of help them get their foot in the door and realize that there are a lot of opportunities out there for them, and a lot of scholarships that they are eligible for. Some big ones are the Dream.us, the Golden Door Scholars. We partnered up with Education Forward last year for a scholarship that was also available for undocumented students. So every year there's going to be new opportunities, and every year there are recurring ones as well. So we just want to make sure the students are well aware of what they are. And these slides will be shared with you all, and these are all active like hyperlinks, so you can click on all of them to direct you to those specific pages. We do have a page on our website specifically for undocumented students, scholarships for undocumented students. We try to update that regularly every semester or so with any scholarships that are available now or might be available in the near future. Yeah, so these are just a little bit more of the scholarships that are available out there for students. Like I mentioned, the Dream.us, Golden Door Scholars. One of the big things to know specifically for scholarships for undocumented students is there might not be a lot of big, well-known scholarships that assist undocumented students, but the little niche area of where to find these scholarships is those private small scholarships that might be like $1,000, $2,000, like the bottom left there, which is a $3,000 scholarship from an attorney. They have that one recurring every year. So it's just little ones like that. We have the bottom right there, the IME Becas it's a partnership with the Mexican consulate. So any Mexican nationals, or actually any students that have family of Mexican descent. So if the student themselves are a US citizen and they might have parents or grandparents that are Mexican, as long as they provide some sort of proof that they are of Mexican descent, the amount of the scholarship varies every year, but that is also a recurring one. I received that when I was in Texas, studying in Texas. So it was cool. I was like, okay, let's take it, some more money, free money. But it's very simple. Some of these are very simple. They can vary in terms of requirements and eligibility, but it's definitely a good opportunity to know of all of them and to make sure that students apply for as many as they can. So I actually ended off a little early. I wanted to leave some time for questions. But on the left there, I just wanted to mention real fast, we do have a sort of a guide for both for educators and for students on undocumented pathways for and applying to higher education for students that are maybe undocumented. One of the students that has worked with Aliento for a few years now, Daniela Chavira, she's a student at GCU. She created this guide. She herself is undocumented, and it has all the ins and outs of how to apply, scholarships, filling out forms, everything that a student would need to know in terms of applying to higher education. She created that, and she's a great student. And yeah, I just wanted to plug that in just because it is very helpful for both student and educator. So that is on our website. So if anyone is interested, feel free to go on our website, and you can download that guide as well. But yeah, I wanted to leave some time for questions. My contact info is there. I'm going to drop it in the chat as well. If you do have any questions, feel free to take down my email on the CSS profile or on Proposition 308 in general, or even just working with undocumented students, either in high school and trying to get them to higher ed or anything. I love to help. I love getting those emails. So please feel free to help out.
Yeah, we have some time, guys, so or everyone in this chat. So feel free to take yourself on mute and ask your question directly. It also really cool resources being dropped in the chat that you guys can definitely grab. One thing I did want to ask, and I've been doing multiple things at once, managing and listening. So apologies, Pedro, if I'm asking a question you already kind of covered. But the CSS application, when I was looking at some of the school websites, I did notice when you look at the undocumented pathways to their institution in the CSS application, it has like a school number, like 407, 406. That's going to be important for students to put in the application, or is that just a reference number? Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, so within the application itself, there's a section where it asks for the school code, and that would be the school code that you input, and it just ties into, so it would just send the application. You would be filing the application for, let's say it gives you, ASU has a code that's 4000, right? And on the application, it would ask you, oh, what is the school code? And if you were planning on attending ASU, you would put that 400 code. And it also allows you to enter multiple codes. It doesn't have to be just one. So it's kind of similar to the FAFSA in terms of like just clicking on schools to apply, and it'll just send you the application to those schools. But yes, so those codes are important. That is the sort of identifier code for the university.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're different than the like school code, which is like a longer number, correct? Or because they're like specialized for the CSS application, or no?
Yes, they shouldn't be too long. I feel like it's roughly like
4 digits.
Four digits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And then for the undocumented pathways, I will definitely use that. One thing I didn't mention in the earlier announcements to everyone here, if you are a Benji partner school, we are trying to be very sensitive in navigating of how to send out the CSS application to our students, because we are aware that our users and the bot aren't all students who can complete the financial aid application. And so, but we're also aware that some of our students will pick this application over the FAFSA application, and that's not what they're supposed to do if they're eligible to complete the FAFSA application. So we are trying really hard. Lizette, our script writer here at SBNG, we're navigating, we're like trying really hard to figure out how to do that. So Pedro, we might have to talk to you after this, because I know you're close by, we can grab you. But yeah, if there are any other questions, feel free to take yourself off mute. Oh, I think we got something.
I have a question. Hi, I'm Andrea. I'm from Palo Verde High School in Tucson. And I was late to the training, so I don't know if it was already mentioned. So I'm sorry if it was. I can just watch the recording later. But for parents who are undocumented and don't have a social security number, I know that now they were going to be able to do the FSA ID, but I'm not sure if that is working for parents or if it's still being worked on. Because I do have some parents who don't have a social.
Yeah, I think that would be a question for Julie, but I actually do have some information on that, because my brother is a current senior in high school, and he's also trying to file the application, and my parents are undocumented. So they were able to create the ID. I think the issue that my brother at least was having was that whenever the student invites the parent to participate in the FAFSA application, it just nothing happens.
Oh, okay.
They receive the invitation, but if you click on the invitation, nothing populates. And I think that's the issue that we've been having. I'm not sure if that's been the overall issue with like undocumented parents and FSA IDs, but I know that's one of the issues that we've been having.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then just to make sure I understand, parents who don't have a social, they'll be able to do an FSA ID just like any other parent. Just right now, if the invitation part is not working.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
my experience or my brother's experience. Like my parents, my mom and my dad have or my dad has a FSA ID created already.
Oh, cool.
The only issue that we've been encountering is after creating the ID and actually filling out the FAFSA.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Andrea, it's an ongoing issue with parents. I know in the past, parents could just put in the 0 and they could move on. But since it's the Better FAFSA, the benefits is that we are hearing that it is going a lot faster once they can get in the application. But for our students whose parents can't get into the FSA ID creation, that is still being worked on, since January is the soft launch. They're still working on certain things. So there are certain items like that that are still not available. So I would just tell them to keep checking in. Don't try to go around it. Just come back to it. So maybe check on it again next week. And I will send the slide deck out, and we actually have a link on some of all the open issues. So you can open that and you can kind of keep track of it, because there's so many different little things that they're still ironing out. They're smoothing out.
Thank you so much.
No, you're welcome. And then also, if you missed that, then one thing to motivate other students who can complete out their FAFSA is there is that spring training competition, and I'll send this all off. We did have a question in the chat here for Pedro, and it is, will institutions be sending financial aid packages to students who complete the CSS profile at the same time as students who submit the FAFSA application?
That's a good question. The CSS profile closes, I think, in 2025 of next year. So I think from the conversation that I had with the state university reps was that it was sort of going to be, there was going to be a hard deadline. I don't know when that deadline was going to be in terms of just getting the financial information to the students. Hopefully, it would be at around the same time as a FAFSA. But honestly, I am not sure. But that is my assumption for right now. I can ask, and I'll make sure to triangulate with Graciela to make sure that everyone gets that information, but I can definitely ask.
Yeah, and I know the FAFSA application, and Lizette I know she's in it every day, so she can correct me if I'm wrong. I know the FAFSA application right now is taking the applications, but it's not producing information until the end of January back to schools, because it is the soft launch. So there's already that timing issue that's a little different for our FAFSA application students. So, but still, only the ASU, U of A, and NAU who are taking the CS application for those students who are eligible to complete that over the FAFSA. The one thing that they kept saying was students who are eligible to complete the FAFSA should not be doing the CSS profile in lieu of the FAFSA for their institutions. I know that the CSS profile is used at other schools and things like that, but these 3 universities are specifically using it for this population of students. Am I think incorrect in that, Pedro?
No, that's correct. I think just a good practice, just so that nothing falls through the cracks, would be after the student files the CSS profile, just double checking with the university and making sure that they did get the application. Yeah, just so everyone is on the same page in terms of like already applying and just waiting on the financial package.
Perfect. And I think we have some in the chat. I could be wrong. Oh, Dan.
Oh, there we go.
Dan, feel free to unmute.
Hey everyone. Yeah, no, just confirming what I put in the chat. Absolutely true what's been shared so far from all 3 state institutions. Please, if a student is able to fill out a FAFSA, their family is able to fill out a FAFSA, don't have them complete the CSS profile. It will slow down, confuse our financial aid processing systems. And already we've begun to see a spike of students unnecessarily sending that over to each of us. And we do have to sort those out individual student by individual student so that we don't misprocess any information. But yes, as packaging begins at all 3 institutions, those students will be considered right alongside. And all 3 of us don't have any sort of firm timeline for that information, but are sharing that financial aid offers will begin to roll out in mid-spring. We're learning right alongside everyone else what that timeline will look like from the federal government in terms of getting nicer information.
Thank you, Dan.
Perfect. Well, I think that's all we have for today. I know there's so much more we could talk about. One thing I do want to remind you is we did have our 3 state universities do an amazing kind of kick off in the fall, talking about their deadlines and some of the special programming that they have. So I will attach the link to all our videos so you can go back and refresh just in case you missed that. That was another popular one outside of our FAFSA ones. So feel free to go review that because I know there's so much happening now and students are actually able to fill out the application to some degree. And the applications and Arizona Promises coming up, that deadline. And then we have our state institutions who also have their prior deadlines that'll be coming up. So definitely review that and feel free. I don't know if anyone's shared the videos to have their students just watch it themselves, but if you use our videos in any creative ways, feel free to let me know. That's all I have. The only other thing I do want to remind you is that we will have we never went over that. There was one more slide there, Pedro. We are going to have just a quick little reminder of the Arizona College Access Network that Dr. Murphy runs. Those classes are kicking off, and she has some really good FAFSA series classes. So if you want to learn some more CAP training courses, check that out. And then some of her courses actually, I'm butchering it, you can get additional learning credit hours with them with a university. So they are going to be accredited. I believe they're going to be 1 credit hour courses. So if you have questions, I'll also include her in the email because that's like a really cool new thing that she just announced in another meeting. So just wanted to echo that for her. And our next Lunch and Learn is February 21st. Feel free to sign up. We're going to be talking about some really cool summer programs that our state offers at different institutions, things that your students can take advantage of. So that's a little sneak preview for next February. Thank you, everyone, and I will give you back 2 minutes of your life. Cool, and I'll just stay here for a minute.